Now, Nelson Mandela signed the Constitution into law in Sharpeville on the 10th of December 1996. The Constitution came into effect on the 4th of February 1997. To commemorate this event, Justice Minister Ronald Lamola joins us now. Minister, good evening and thank you so much for your time tonight. We were just in a conversation with Justice R.B. Sachs, who was speaking to, among other issues, just concerns around the accessibility of the Constitution to the majority of South Africans. Your own reflections on whether enough is being done to actually do that?
All the questions. Indeed, there are efforts to educate, campaign about the Constitution across the country. As you will remember, Katie, when the Constitution was signed, the Department of Justice had a project to distribute the Constitution across the country, including in schools and various places. But I do think that it is important that we still do that and do more to make sure that it is available, but also not only in terms of paper, but in terms of people really enjoying the rights that are enshrined in the Constitution through our courts, through the various sections of the Constitution that should be seen and lived on daily realities of our lives.
What does a day like today mean, especially for government?
It is a historic occasion. It's a moment of reflection. It means that we need to pause and see the road that we have traveled up to so far. The ideals that were put by that generation of leaders of Nelson Mandela and others have achieved all that in terms of the constitutional objectives. And it's clear, obviously, some of the objectives in terms of the right to vote and the others have been achieved. But there's still a long way to go in terms of socio-economic rights. And as you are aware, we are one of the most unequal societies in the world. Because of that history where we come from. So it's still clear that there's still a long road ahead of us to achieve the ideals of the Constitution.
And at the same time, we also know that oftentimes, in some instances, you have either government institutions or entities that are themselves responsible for violating the rights of people in this country.
Yeah, hence the courts are there to be a remedy for that, including the Office of the Public Protector. So the forefathers who crafted the Constitution and that generation, that was a good foresight because it means that the government is in check. There are guardian angels that ensure that we comply with the spirit and the letter of the Constitution. For example, today I was speaking in the event organized by the Human Rights Commission, which also holds us accountable on various issues related to human rights. So there are various institutions, if government falters or fail, which can be able to hold government accountable and ensure that we comply with the spirit and the letter of the Constitution.
Sure, but don't you think that on some level government should be holding itself to a much higher standard? So while it's great that you have these institutions, as you put it, that will be guardians of the Constitution, surely there should be a measure of last resort, that government itself should hold the standards that have been laid out in the Constitution and ensure that at the very least that is what is given to every South African.
Yes, we strive for that excellency, but obviously in the implementation of the Constitution and the various legislations, you will obviously encounter issues of financial constraints and other realities that government sometimes may find itself being constrained with, and there have been many policy considerations and so forth. And I think as government makes decisions, has always strived to be in compliance with the Constitution. And the current COVID-19 situation has been one such example when we have, for the first time, pushed to the limit the provisions in Section 36 of the Constitution, which is the limitation clause, aimed at limiting some of the Bill of Rights of individuals in terms of movement, in terms of association, and so forth. And government has strived to do it within the parameters of that section, which is still the Constitution. There have been cases that went to court, some who have succeeded, some who did not succeed. And even those that did not succeed, it was clear that it was not done out of malice, it was done with the purpose to save life.
But even within that framework, if we're going to use the restrictions of COVID-19 as an example, they're the constitutional rights of individuals who, some were killed as a result of the heavy-handedness of the police authorities during that period.
Yes, hence the courts had to come in and direct that this is how these issues should be resolved and be dealt with. And you will remember that even prior to that, the police and the defense force had issued the pledge in terms of how they are supposed to behave and handle such issues. But overall, Kathy, the government has handled the COVID-19 situation within the parameters and the limits of the Constitution, and that is also proven by the various court judgments that has found that some of the restrictions that were put in place in terms of the Disaster Management Act were within the parameters of Section 36, which is the limitation clause that limits the Bill of Rights of certain individuals in a justifiable and an open manner.
Let's leave it there for tonight. Unfortunately, that line to you isn't great. Justice Minister Ronald Lamola there. We do apologize for the poor sound of the poor audio quality there.